What piece of advice would you give our audience that's looking to grow and scale through government contracts?
Have the end in mind. What does that scale look like? Because you can just keep making money and money forever. What's that number? You're going to get up to $1 billion? What is that thing where you want to settle on? Is just like with a job or even an education, what is the end goal?
Yeah.
I want to get to 10 million profit. I want to get to 10 million in my bank account. What does that actually look like?
What were some of the biggest lessons learned during your journey? Those things that either made you better.
It really challenges a lot of relationships, whether it's a spousal relationship, children relationship, family relationship, friend relationship. I lost a lot of friends in this process. And some of them were based on their performance. I want to work with you. And then you realize your friend is trash. Respectfully, like they just not a good worker for whatever it is you got to have them doing, whether it's admin or physical. And then you have situations where you may need to borrow money. It happens. I don't know why people act like you just, as soon as you start doing a business, you never ever need any money from anyone. If that's the case, then you've never scaled, because you're going to need the money from the bank or person. Hopefully you have access to either or both, right?
Right. Hey, what's up, and welcome back to another Friday Live with Dr. K. Today, I am honored to have and to present to you guys another government contracts expert who's actually has years of experience, not only teaching it, but doing it. She's the founder and CEO of Foresight Industries. So many things. You wear so many different hats, but none the least, I would like to bring to you guys Miss Sheenapreneur, who is like the boss out here teaching big contracts. So welcome to the show, Miss Sheena. How are you?
Thank you so much. No, I'm great. Thank you so much for opportunity. Thank you for the collaboration. We out here getting this GovCon money.
Awesome. So it's always an honor to like connect with like-minded individuals. I think that we need to do more of this. There are so many really amazing coaches that are out here. And I don't think that we don't do this enough, right? To collaborate and just really collectively share the information with entrepreneurs that are out here really, I wouldn't say starving, but trying to figure things out, especially in the government contracting space. So I really appreciate you for taking the time to be here today. But I want to start with talking about your journey, because you wear so many hats: mom, ex-military, you were an officer, got into real estate, all these other things. Can we talk about your journey about like how you transitioned from becoming from the Army into like government contracting and how that all started off for you?
Yes, I think I was born an entrepreneur. There's always that question: an entrepreneur was born or made? I think I was just born that way, because I was just like, how can I get money at 7? And then age 12, started my first business or hustle, if you will. So it was always in me, even though I joined the military, it really was like, okay, I need some money. So let me just join the military, which is a little unorthodox. Luckily, I survived for 20 years. But throughout that time, I had a couple of like real businesses, a couple of hustles. And then in 2014, I got into real estate, and my husband bought me my first condo, and it was terrible. It was a terrible investment. It went all the way to hell and back, but it's learning lesson, right? And then with that, I got up to 7 properties, and I think I've told this story a couple of times, but I'm too volatile to be a landlord. So I was like, okay, this ain't gonna work. And then I was flipping, I was wholesaling, and just trying to figure out my path in real estate. But then I just got burnt out. It was a very quick turnaround of burnout, less than 2 years. So I sold all my properties, and I just stuck with just one rental that was like my previous house. But then even though I was in the military, I was a reservist. So there was a small period of time. I was a reservist full time. And there were a couple of periods of time where I was just a civilian. So I had a civilian job, and it just so happened I was at a Christmas party. It's a very large company. And a person was like, hey, I heard you were military and you're a Black female. You didn't do government contracting. And I'm like, yo no sé. I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I don't even know what that is. I didn't even know anything about it. So literally that day, going home from that Christmas party, I started looking it up. What's government contracting? And it was dry. It was so bad. There was no one out here. I think Eric Coffee and maybe Gov Kid Method were the only 2 people that were talking about it. that made it make sense. And I'm like, okay. When I was just perusing around, asking people, I literally was going on LinkedIn and Facebook, typing in government contract, and anyone that said anything about it, I was reaching out, and I didn't get a lot of feedback. Just some people did help. And so I said, if I'm going to get into this, how does it relate to real estate? Because I'm not an agent, I'm not a broker. I'm just out here trying to make some money off of real estate like everyone else. And it translated over to facility management. And throughout this time, I'm still working full time. And I was actually submitting my bids at work. Luckily I had my own office, but I would close the door, do not call, whatever. And at lunch, after work. And I was just so focused and so committed. I was locked in. I wanted to know more, and I wanted to get contracts.
Wow. It's crazy that you talk about that focus work, because I hear you say that a lot in your videos. You're like, hey, you got to make a commitment. You got to be focused and all these other things. And so let's talk about that, because a lot of times people think that they can just jump into government contract because it sounds like a shiny carrot, right? It's not a shiny carrot. It's a real method for creating generational wealth, but it takes a certain type of characteristic in order to succeed. So let's talk about some of those characteristics that you see has been key for you and for your clients.
Yeah. So even before I get into that specific thing, like what I noticed is that a lot of people are winning contracts without doing the work. I'm not saying that you can't go out here and win a contract and be successful without business acumen, but what they quickly find out is that, oh, this is not what I thought. And now you're in it. And now you have to perform, and they forget that it's a real business. No matter, even if you just jump into anything that is not even consistent with what your business is supposed to be, it's going to be like a regular business. You're going to have ebbs and flows. You're going to have stress. You're going to have all the things that come with being a business owner. So for me, I think I'm just one of those people that wants to know a lot. I want to know at least a little about a lot.
Yeah.
Not to say that I want to be a jack of all trades, because now I'm older. I settled down on that chasing everything mentality. But I want to know about stuff. So I'm a student of the game consistently. I go to class, even to this day, I still go to classes and conferences, and I still try to learn what I don't know. So I just was a student throughout, even while I was bidding. What does this mean? I need to know. I don't like to go into stuff completely blind. Like, I'm a risk taker.
Yeah.
But I calculated risk. And so I am just by nature one of those types of people. And with the whole getting up early, and I know that's not a thing anymore. It used to be like, don't sleep. And then we quickly realized you can't do that. But I do get up early before the world wakes up. Some people are late, stay up late. I can't stay up late and get up early. That's not sustainable. So I had to pick one. And the one I picked is getting up early and just being really locked in before the storm of the day comes.
That's how I am. I'm an early bird. I got to get it started before the husband and the baby and the kids.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It's clawing for your attention. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you identify the specific niche? I know you came from, and then you transitioned into the government contracting world as a facility maintenance professional. Like, how did you connect those two? What was it that helped you to see this is what I really want to do?
I guess when I really evaluated what we were doing in real estate, it was like renovations, floor repair, drywall. And so I can't pinpoint that first moment, but I landed my first contract that I won was floor waxing. So I just asked, I know that's something that my contractor that I was using to do real estate, I know he could do that. So I'm like, hey, I found something for this county. Do you think you can do it? Yeah. And then the first performing contract was floor repair. So I think in my mind, I was going to be a floor contractor. I don't even know what I thought, but the good thing when it comes to government contracting is I started off local. Yeah. Like I still was going after like it conceptually federal, but I started off local. Yeah. So I didn't really have to have a NAICS. I just saw something and then went after, and it happened. The Lord knew that I had to be, the only way for me to be a believer was to win, because I would have not believed it. If it took a year, I would have been like, this don't work.
Exactly. Yeah. So very interesting. So ideally you were just like, what am I actually, because when you think real estate, usually you'll be thinking sell, buy, land, houses, that part of real estate. But then you were on the other professional side of, I'm flipping these things and these are the actual things. And so these are the things that I can actually bring over skill sets into the government world. Sounds amazing. So let's talk about how contracting with the government, like how did it change the trajectory of your life? I know that you were working hard, right? Because that's just what you do. And then you by nature are an entrepreneur. So you wore many hats at the same time. When you became officially a government contractor, what changed in your life?
I got an advance for that first contract. So to be handed a $70,000 check, that changes everything. Like I came from a very humble background.
Yeah.
I've never seen that amount of money
at one
once,
time. Yeah.
period. Or really in a pretty long period of time either. Truthfully, like even in real estate, that money was super slow for me. I didn't do it right. Whatever anybody want to say, I didn't do it right. So I wasn't getting 70,000. I was getting 2, 3, 4,000 at a time. And I'm like, this is different. I actually converted a lot of people, all my friends, over to government contracting with that same story. Cause I'm like, I got a check. Oh my God. And then that first contract out the gate it ended up being $176,000. What other thing can you really do like that? Like seriously, like doing all the businesses that I've had, I can't think of anything, honestly, that you don't have to invest no money. I had $0. You hear? Dollars. I had to invest my time. And to get that return on investment, I can't think of anything else. All the MLMs I was in. Yeah. That's what changed. I'm in this thing.
It's the real money.
Real money. Real money.
Did you negotiate a percentage up front, or was that just a given in the contract that you landed?
It was all divine, and I've never gotten an advance after that.
That's right. That's all. Like, it doesn't happen, right? It doesn't happen. That's all. Like, unless you negotiate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so happens that particular contract, it was some kind of experimental program that county was going after, and they were just trying to use small businesses, diverse businesses. And we were the only ones that showed up to the site visit. And then my contractor was like, ask them for an advance. I was like, okay. And they were like, oh, sure. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't even know if I knew how much it was to be honest.
Wow.
So to get that, it was like, it's almost like you go through a metamorphosis when that check hits your hand. The sky was the limit after that.
Wow. So now you're landing these lucrative government contracts and you're telling all your friends, hey, you need to be doing this. Look at all this money that's coming. I don't even know how I did it, but look, we're going to figure this thing out. And now you're teaching entrepreneurs how to build not only government contracting business, but how to build profitable business from the ground up that are sustainable for long-term sustainable. If they want to sell it, they're building real empires, right? So can we talk about the 3-tier contractor methodology that you teach and why that's so important for people to know from that perspective?
Yeah, so I what made me settle on that is because I started off local. So that's the main reason. And a lot of people don't understand that's still government contracting. It doesn't always necessarily come from the federal government. It can come from taxpayers. It can come from grants. We've actually had a lot of contracts based on some grants that were associated with janitorial, especially during COVID. So it's okay, if you're having problems on the federal side, do local. It's still millions of dollars on the local side. So during COVID, everything slowed down, of course. We picked up a little because of we picked up a lot, but it was still uncertain. So I was like, what's this corporate contracting thing? And I went to different events. I went to the BMW conference and all that kind of stuff, but I still wasn't clear what it was and how it worked. So now that we're not having to go in person, I was doing all these virtual conferences and industry days about corporate contracting. So with that, I'm like, if you're having a federal drought or a local drought, like here in Atlanta, we're having some major issues with the local government. Okay. And so if you were only doing local, you might be messed up here in the local area. So then you still got federal to fall back on, or even in corporate, and then even maybe commercial. So when I say 3 tiers, it's federal, local, and corporate contracting. You do all the things, these 3 things, even some commercial within reason, because you don't want to stretch yourself too thin. But we're talking about if you're if you're focused on one industry. I'll give you 2 because my serial entrepreneurs, I feel you. I know you want to do more than one thing. I'll give you 2 industries. They still should be related. But then do all the things that you settle on what works for you. Like a couple of people that I interviewed on my channel, they're local all day, every day. They don't do nothing federal, or they're corporate all day, every day. They don't do anything else because they did all the things. And they're like, I hate local because in Dade County, I get paid late. So I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
Corporate is where I live. And so I'm like, if you try all the things, we don't do that well in corporate. I've had 2 corporate contracts. That ain't our superpower, but I know how to do it. I know how to approach it. We've done all the things. Just janitorial is extremely competitive. So we're like, let's just go back to where we lived, and which is local for the most part. So that's why I teach those 3, because you might find in your particular city, county, or state that it's more prevalent for your industry to get all the local.
And then they say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So it's really looking at it from the perspective of diversifying your GovCon portfolio, right?
Yes.
Diversify. Yeah, get ready, because it's money everywhere. And then I know that in corporate, they have similar regulations where they have to spend a percentage of their money, just like government. So it's like a parallel world. And if you're here in business to make money and you want to make money with the biggest buyer of whatever, be ready. It takes the same amount of paperwork to get certified across all 3. So you might as well just be ready. So.
Be ready. That's right. You might be in the elevator with someone from Amazon and you're like, I never thought about corporate contract and I lost out on my shot at this moment. So yes, diversifying for sure.
So I know that even as a coach myself, I know that you have different people from different walks, and there's different mindsets about business, different belief systems, different values. There's so much out here, especially. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you're enjoying it. I wanted to take some time to invite you to join me in the GovCon Challenge. The GovCon Challenge takes place once a month, where I invite a bunch of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs to come and have me teach you the 5 things you must do to pre-qualify your business to land lucrative contracts with the government. So join me in the GovCon Challenge. Click on the link in the description. You'll be glad you did. Join as VIP for exclusive behind-the-scenes information, and you could become a part of the top 1% of entrepreneurs across the nation. Now back to the video you were watching. When you are a coach and a mentor and you want to help other people, you run into just a lot of things. You get to see all their blockages, right? Like just from a high level perspective, you get to see all the things that's blocking people. So I hear you talk a lot about investing in yourself and knowing why that's important. Things like making a decision to do this and those type of things. Could we talk about some of those values of who is the person that can succeed, not only in business, but just especially as a government contractor? What does it really take?
It takes your, okay, so let me just say this gingerly, because
what would Sheenapreneur say?
I know. All right. Let me go back.
I love the way that you're a straight shooter about it. Look, this is what you need to do. Quit playing.
Let me not be a mama for a moment. It takes the commitment. And I find that I even will talk someone out of paying me, because I'm like, you're really not ready. Don't just throw money at it thinking that's going to solve your problem, or thinking I'm going to solve your problems. I can only lead you to water, as cliche as that is. Once you get in this thing, you're swimming with your floaties on. There's really, and the floaties is a training, right? I'm not going to have every single answer for you. That's impossible. There's a lot of my students bring me back something like, do you know? I'm like, wow, I never heard that in my entire life.
Right. Like, where did you find that?
Where did you even find that? Who told you that? And this is a people business. That's why I say over and over, you might deal with a contracting officer who's and then I'm like, that's totally illegal. But guess what? If you don't do that, at least a little bit of that, you're off the contract. So you have to have some sort of business acumen, and you have to be committed to learning. You have to be committed to learning, and you have to be committed to making this a business. All these like just jumping into something and having stuff all over the place, I don't subscribe to that. And I know some people do, and whatever is your flavor, just know that comes with that. And I just try to tell people, if you're going into a gazillion different industries, guess what? Every single time you get a new contract, you're going to be learning every time. So what's easier? Go into something that's familiar, something that makes sense. And so those gaps will be essentially more closed than they would if you're just going into fuel and you're like, I don't know anything about fuel. Don't go into fuel. Let's do that.
So funny. All right. What are some key lessons or strategies that you've learned along in your journey in the government contracting space that you think is very key and essential for entrepreneurs to at least prepare for?
I think really it's agility. There's so many things, right? Agility, resilience, treating this like a real business, I think is what makes it brings everything together. So take government contracting out of it. What would you do if you were just running a business? Would you go to conferences? Would you do meetups? Would you try to network with people? Don't just say, this is government contracting. Do you think it's a good idea to do this? I don't know. Is that something that you do in your industry? You may not need, if you sell sports, you may not need to network with people. You just buy it from the manufacturer. You know what I mean? So it's really about what makes sense for your industry. And my industry is very advantageous. It's service-based. And it's advantageous for me to make as many contacts as I can because I usually sub work out. But it's treating it like a real business is paramount, and being a student of the game, because even one of my friends who I brought in, and I didn't agree with her on this to an extent, but she has a janitorial certification. And I was like, ugh, why are you getting that? But in her area, for the VA, they don't accept you unless you have the certification. Well, so that makes sense.
Yeah, for her business.
You know, I was like, no, do not. And you got to pay for it and everything. But it makes sense because she studied the game. Okay, I want to work with the VA. I'm getting a certification. Something that I wouldn't have thought of.
Interesting. I'm wondering if she was able to recapture that in her contract, just because she had to do it in order to become a.
Yeah, we talked about that in depth, and I'm not sure. I know she was talking about it, but yes, I see what you're saying.
Some people think that they can just jump right in today, become millionaires tomorrow, 90 days. It could happen, right? I'm not saying that it can't. It's not impossible. But what are some of the most common misconceptions that you hear that people are believing, and how do you address those?
That you can run a business from another state and you've never run a business in your life. Not to say you can't.
Yeah.
But it makes my it's making my blood pressure go up right now. But if you have never, even if you run a business, but you never run this type of business and you have no understanding of the industry whatsoever, and then you're in Florida and the contract is in Alaska and you don't know who the person is that you hired as a subcontractor to run this company, that is bad to me. Now, could it work out? Probably, but probably not as well. And so the misconception is that you can just go about your business and send in the invoice and everything's going to be peachy. Sometimes it can be, a lot of times it's not. You're married to that person.
Yeah.
And they are representing your company. You have no idea what they're doing. And then the other thing would be, of course, like it's a get rich quick thing. Now it's super boutique. Yeah. Like I said, there was nobody talking about this.
Yeah.
How many, 8, 9 years, 10 years ago?
I remember that time.
Remember those days?
I remember that. I was like, yeah.
And it was everybody.
Like Eric, it was like Eric, and it was Derek.
Derek,
Derek. It was Eric and Derek. And I was like, nobody is out here talking about it, which I love. Like, those are two of my favorite persons.
Yep.
I'm like, nobody would, but now it's like everybody is popping up.
Everybody's popping up. Yeah, I agree. And I'm just really trying to get people to understand that this is a real business. Period. So just the misconception that you can just jump into this, like the whole real estate boom, where you could, if you invest money into real estate, you probably will get money back. You're building so much, hiring employees. I was in the Army for 20 years, ran many troops. I was an officer, and I came out like, oh, this is a piece of cake. I can manage people. Like, I do this every day, but it's not the same. It's totally different. I'm writing the check. So it's a lot different on this side. So there's just the business aspect of it, and not understanding that part is really what makes a difference. Yeah.
Business 101 is key. Definitely if you want to succeed in government contracting, right? And then it's the whole stigma, or just the whole name of government contracting really is just having a big client that got deep pockets. That's it. So if you can eliminate that, it's still running a business. You still got to deliver first-class service. You still got to have your accounting, your team. You got to do all of these things, right? Whatever it is that you got.
Yes.
What do you believe that business owners that are not doing government contracting, or the people that are like, they've been playing around, teetering with it, what do you think they're missing out on? What do you believe they're missing out on?
Money, for one, because there's not a whole lot of industries.
Boatload of it, right?
A whole boatload of money that's really never ending. And I don't want to sound like I'm selling a dream, but it's really never ending. And there's going to be fads and different things that you have a passion about. And that's great. But speaking from someone who's had, I can't even count on my fingers and my toes how many businesses I've had. Just trying to find that one thing. So you're missing out on, for one, the money. For two, some people are trying to build generational wealth. Some people are trying to build a legacy business. I am trying to sell my business. and then do the things that I really, how many people, especially I would say minorities, women, people coming from disadvantaged backgrounds, how many times have you heard of anyone selling a business? Not really. That's just not a part of our conversation. So being able to just build a business to sell in order to go retire on the beach, like really retire. Like I'm retired, but I ain't really retired. Like I can't live my lifestyle off of my military retirement. I'm trying to live like other people that I see where I can still buy things and not just live. So that whole thing is something that we don't really get a chance to have a conversation about. And that alone, being able to retire young and free and no debt essentially, and just like peace. And then you shown the next generation, even if it's not that business, like they're actually going to inherit it, which my kids are not, but just showing them there's another way other than working at a job for 50 years. And that's life.
I love the fact that you talk about that, because for me, that's a big thing too. Being able to learn how to leverage this moment as a government contractor to create enough wealth to make the wealth work for you so you can essentially retire, because nobody wants to work forever, right? So you have to learn to, I tell entrepreneurs a lot, like you want to start your business with an exit plan. So what is your exit plan and how are you going to use government contracting to exit? Because at some point, you're going to get too old to be out here doing these things. And so what is your long-term plan? And I love that you're talking about that, because not enough, you hear a lot of people talk about make all this money now.
Now
like,
what?
Then what, right? So planning for the future, and even to plant the seed of thinking about, you start a business to eventually be able to build something that's valuable enough to sell. And that is so powerful. I love it.
And it's going to be hard to do that in a lot of other different, even if you do a franchise, like there's some franchise companies that will let you either pass it down or sell it. There's some that are out there that are really good. And then there's even some where there's ways you can sell it, but it's still not usually going to be like this. And some of them it's a transfer, it's not a sale. And I took the Goldman Sachs program and they were like, you die in it, you pass it down, you sell it. And I was like, that was a blow. Yeah. Cause I'm like, my kids don't want this headache. They want to do that. They got their own goals. And I don't want that for them either. And it's, you start with exit plan and I always say it's a number or age. Mine is age.
Yeah. Interesting. That's super awesome. Okay. What were some of the biggest lessons learned during your journey?
I would like just the government contracting journey.
Just business, period.
Making
decisions, transitioning from work, because sometimes people think that this is the end all, right? I'm gonna get a government contract and my whole life is gonna be perfect. But there are some things that you run into, lessons that you learn along the way. It's either gonna make you or break you, right? So what were some of those things that either made you better?
It really challenges a lot of relationships, whether it's a spousal relationship, children relationship, family relationship, friend relationship. I lost a lot of friends in this process. And some of them were based on their performance. I want to work with you. I want to work with you. And then you realize your friend is trash, respectfully. Like they just not a good worker for whatever it is you have them doing, whether it's admin or physical. And then you have situations where you may need to borrow money. It happens. I don't know why people act like you just, as soon as you start doing a business, you never ever need any money from anyone. If that's the case, then you've never scaled, because you're going to need the money from the bank or person. Hopefully you have access to either or both. There's been people that I was like, baby, please, I just need it until I get to payroll next week. Let me get this 30 grand. And they're like, no, even though essentially they had it. And that is a real blow when you just feel like, I've never asked anyone for anything in my life. This is a real serious situation. And it puts a strain on a relationship. And people could take that how they want, because you shouldn't mix business with, look, there's going to be a lot of bleeding over. My business is me. My business is me. And so there's really not a whole lot of separation with that. This is my baby. And however you feel about it is however you feel about it. And if you disrespect my baby, it's just like disrespecting my kids. And so you realize after you ran through all your family work, everyone in my family has scrubbed the toilet. Everybody. Okay. If the dogs could scrub a toilet, they would have scrubbed the toilet too. And so you go through that process too. Okay, maybe this family member might be good at this and that type of thing. And the same thing with the friendship and having the access to capital. Having it before you need it. it's something that we just always talk about, but the actual factuals, not just have a relationship with the banker. Wells Fargo and Bank of America probably don't care about your little business. Sorry. Sorry to inform you, all the smoke and mirrors they have out here saying they're going to help women and minorities, smoke and mirrors. Make sure you have a surefire way of funding whatever it is you need to fund before you need it. And that includes, what boggles my mind is that those who have these millions of dollars in their 401k or TSP for my military people, and they just, I'm not going to use that. I don't, why wouldn't you, smartly, right? Not just blow it all. But why wouldn't you use that? That's essentially your money. And if you believe in your business and you make on a hope that you can make millions of dollars, you're going to be a millionaire. You don't need to worry about, your retirement. You can put that money back. And it's just so many different things about surrounding money. People need to get educated about it, not just going to the financial seminars where they like the Bank of America sitting on the panel saying, oh, all you got to do is this. All you got to do is get $1 million contract. All you got to do is this. You get to that and they're still going to tell you no.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're Black. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it.
It's just the way that it is.
The way it is.
Right. I remember that I used to hate the word financial literacy, but the older I get, the more successful I become in business. I see that it's so important.
Yes.
To know. And you said some things about having money sitting in a place because you think that's your nest egg for retirement. And it's just sitting there, right? It's like continue to make your money work for you. So if it's just sitting there, why not take it and invest it in something that's going to multiply it so you can secure your own future, because those things are not always 100% secure anyway. So financially educate yourself. That is so very key. It's not just me talking about it. Sheenapreneur is talking about it as well, right? So let's talk about foresight industries. You created. So is this your educational program, or is this your contract?
The facility management company.
So let's talk about your GovCon Educator program, where you're teaching other people how to do it. Why did you create that program, and how are you helping people?
So it's GovCon now, and it's on the Sheenapreneur.com website. Of course, Sheenapreneur just started growing arms and legs with the educational side. I've been Sheenapreneur for a long time, but it's people used to ask me about all types of business stuff, so it just stuck. But GovCon now, I teach about the 3-tier contracting, and that includes like business setup as well. Some people come to me, they already have, like, they've won contract, but they didn't do it right. You know what I mean? They had a friend that worked somewhere, and they're like, okay, shit, I really don't even have my stuff registered. So I have the business setup side as well. And of course, I'm a veteran. So I have a whole separate section for veterans, because there's a lot of things that I have gotten for free that I have gotten that other veterans don't know about when it comes to business, because they don't teach us none of that when we're transitioning out, whether you transition out as a retiree or just regulars, including like a business license. All veterans get a city or county business license for free in the whole United States. A lot of people don't know that. People that have been in business for 20 years. So I include that in some of the programs that I've participated in that are related to veterans. So as I stated before, I want you to do the things and then settle in on what works best for your company, because at the end of the day, it's all about your capacity and what you're willing and able to do. So if you want to live in the corporate world, I have several students who they are like social butterflies. So corporate works for them because they can go in there and charm the pants off of someone, and boom, now they have a contract to do the things. And they're like, I don't like this federal thing because the turnover is too high, whatever the case may be. So I teach about that. And of course, I have my YouTube channel, Sheenapreneur. And that's just an extension of the course and some of the story times and some of the things that I think people need to know. And I'll sometimes wake up, I got to talk about this, so to let people know that you're not alone, because we're still regular people. I know I'm super regular. And sometimes I have my friends saying, Sheena, you're a little too rough around the edges, whatever the case, I don't care. But it's really about letting people know that you can do this as a super regular person, as long as you are following a couple of key steps, staying focused, following the rules of business, then you can do this.
So speaking of that, let's talk about people that are trying, because there's always some people that try to figure it out on their own because they don't want to make investments in education. Then there's some people that you're like, hey, just give me a course and I'll figure it out from there. And then there are the people who are like, I absolutely need a coach because I know I have blind spots and I need to know what those blind spots are so I get there faster. So let's talk about those different ways. The people that are trying to figure things out on their own, what mistakes do you believe they're making up front when they make those type of decisions?
They're wasting time. I understand some people like, look, I don't have the money, period. And I feel you because I didn't either. But guess what I did? I went to YouTube University. I went to all the free resources that are out there, and I studied my I'm sorry, I don't want to cuss on your channel, but I studied my tail off. Okay. And I knew I didn't have the money, so I studied my tail off. But what you're not gonna do, okay, to me and Dr. Karwanna, is say, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, but I want you to just walk me through this whole thing and do everything for me. That's not happening. I don't even do that with my kids.
Yeah.
So it's, you got to choose one. My friend always says the money or the time. Which one you're going to choose? So you have to pick a side.
Everybody pays, right? Everybody pays something. You're going to pay time, or you're going to pay with currency, whatever it is.
And I had said on, I think, one of my rants, I said, when y'all went to college, okay, y'all didn't ask those people for a discount. You went and paid that $100,000 with your whole chest and was like, look at my degree. Look at my degree, y'all. And you probably got a $40,000 job, respectfully. And then ask for a single discount. We charging, even if we charging $20,000. My first contract was $100,000. You think that's a good return on investment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
My nerves get so bad thinking about that. It makes my blood pressure go up. But yes, I just got to let people know you're wasting time if you don't pay. If you don't have the money, I got it. But you need to invest all your time.
That's right. That's right. And then one final message. What piece of advice would you give our audience, particularly for small business owners that's looking to grow and scale through government contracts?
The same thing. Like, if you're looking to scale, have the end in mind. What does that scale look like? Because you can just keep making money and money forever. Yeah. And what's that number? You're going to get up to $1 billion? What is that thing where you want to settle on? Is it just like with a job or even an education? What is the end goal? Yeah, I want to get to 10 million in revenue. I want to get to 10 million profit. I want to get to 10 million in my bank account. What does that actually look like? Or I want to, at 45, the day of my birthday, this business is going bye-bye. What is that actual thing?
I'm like, I already know my number. When I want to retire, I'm good. Yeah.
And it's I can't even think of any other business that operates like this, because it's really, if you were to sit there and bid every hour on the hour, you'll get to millions and millions of dollars. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed, because you're asking for the feedback from the contracting officer, whomever, and they're like, "Oh, your prices are too high." Okay, boom. I'm gonna take my prices down. That means that I'm gonna hire people for a lower amount. So that's the answer. So it's too easy. There's no market crash that's gonna change it. Even if there's a shutdown, you still get paid. So show me the problem.
Exactly. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you so much for all of your nuggets that you're sharing, for continuing to help change lives out here, as well as sharing your experience and just sharing your truth. Because I believe that that definitely matters. You're making a big difference in the world and in the small business community as well. So we are definitely going to leave how to get in contact with you, your YouTube channel links, all of that stuff, how to work with Sheenapreneur will be in the description. So make sure y'all check it out, check her out, sign up to work with her, all the good things and everything like that. So thank you so much, Ms. Sheena, for being here. I appreciate your time, for coming and stopping by to share these valuable nuggets. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate.
Awesome.